Now we're going to go into the third and the most important, rather most controversial area in Indian Penal Code, that is the provision of sedation. So what is interesting about sedation is sedation has been in use in the recent times for multiple reasons, and it has been under challenge under constant situations as to the existence of this provision still. What is interesting is that sedation was not a law that was existing in the Indian Penal Code when the Indian Penal Code was drafted. It was included into the provision through the First Amendment. So this was not the original part which came into the Indian Penal Code in the First Amendment. And sedation has also seen many of our freedom fighters being charged with it, including Mahatma Gandhi, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Subhash Chandra Bose, and many other, Annie Besant, many other who were charged under this provision for having raised slogans, written articles, had speeches against the British government, and they were charged under 124 and were also convicted under it. It has been in the limelight recently for the protest and objections that the citizens have raised against the Citizenship Amendment Act as well. There has also been cases where students and teachers and children of schools also being charged under sedation. Though there has been multiple charges, what we have observed recently or over the time is that court has been very cautious in applying the provision of sedation. So what even in the 2018 Law Commission report, the consultation report that was submitted by the Law Commission is that it was a request to re-look into the existence of sedation. Now, what we have to understand is what is sedation. Sedation is nothing but defamation against the government. Section 124A is included in the Indian Penal Code, where any person shows a disloyalty to the government and thereby he instigates or excites the public to act against the government. So it's not about mere criticism or disregard to the acts of the government. But because of the statement made by these people, there's a possibility that there's a disaffection towards the government and the public at large is likely to act against the government. Only in those circumstances that sedation laws can be used. That is something that you need to be clear. So, for example, if I as a person is not happy about the lockdown that the Modi government has imposed, I have a freedom to express my dissatisfaction in the method of which how it has been imposed. That is within my freedom of speech and expression. The moment my dissatisfaction goes to taking up public against the government to excite or instigate the public to attack the government, interrupting with the public order. Again, for instance, if I go around telling, if I hold certain level of, if I go around telling people, see, we do not need to go along with the Modi government for lockdown, and I tell them, why don't you come out to the street, start spitting, all right, as a protest to such a practice of the government. In that case, I can be held liable under sedition because there's a dissatisfaction or hatred that's brought against the government, and I am interrupting with the public order. The idea of having sedation laws still in the Indian Penal Code is to safeguard the public order over the freedom of speech and expression. I believe even recently we had a situation in lockdown. It started where a person, I believe it was TCS employee, who made a statement on the social media saying, I think everybody should come out and start reacting against this and start spitting on the road. Actions were taken against the person for such a statement. In case where public order is likely to be disrupted, sedation laws will step in. So let's look at the essentials now. First one is the mode in which it is done. It can be through words spoken, written, signs, or visual representation. For example, where a cartoon or a post of social media or a meme or a troll that is likely to agitate the public. What is the purpose of those statements? One, it is to bring hatred or contempt or dissatisfaction against the government of India. In this case, the person who involves in such an act would be punished up to 3 years of imprisonment or with fine. Alright, we have multiple case laws which I'll take a break and continue in the next video.